What's up, Raider Nation? Silver and Black Attack coming at you again with another video. And today we got a special guest on the show, my good friend and brother from USC, Raider Neb, visiting us today on the pod to discuss the Raider and Chargers preview. Say what's up, Ned.
What's up, y'all? I'm happy to be on the show.
Sunday, Raider season kicks off in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so offensively, we have our new quarterback, Gardner Minshew, who struggled a little bit during preseason, but shown a little bit with his mobility. And so I think really the key in this game, if we want to win on the offensive side, is really keeping Gardner Minshew upright. I'm personally a little bit concerned with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on the other side. And we're going to be probably starting Thayer Munford at right tackle. And Colton Miller, he was injured throughout training camp and preseason. And to be quite frank, he struggled against Joey Bosa in the past. Joey Bosa has had his number when we've gone up against the Chargers in the past. So I think if we could contain those two ends, like Khalil Mack teed off on Jermaine Illuminor last year, he's no longer here. So I like Thayer Munford much more than I like Jermaine Illuminor at that right tackle spot. But I think if we can contain Mack and Bosa, limit them to, maybe 2 or 3 sacks maximum, I think that's a big key for us to really win the game, is keeping Gardner Minshew upright. We don't want him rolling out of the pocket, trying to play hero ball. We want him playing from within the pocket, so hopefully he's comfortable and there's not a big rush up the middle or, on with those ends in Bosa and Mack. Another thing, Raider Nabai, or Raider Neb is going to get into this, but Brock Bowers, I think, is a really, he's a big X factor in this game. The rookie tight end, he's going up against guys like Denzel Perryman, who we're familiar with, not that good of a cover player. Derwin James, he's an all-pro safety. So I think that matchup's going to be pretty key in this game.
Yeah, man. And also for me too, I'm excited to see how Gardner Minshew looks out there, but I'm more excited to see Zamir White. This is Zamir White. Now he's the bell cow, of the Raiders running back room. He is that guy. Josh Jacobs obviously signed with Green Bay. So I'm excited to see how Zamir White looks in this game. With Antonio Pierce taking over midway through last season, we became a run first team. That's our offensive identity. So I want to see how Zamir White looks out there. I'm excited. He finished the season very strong. His best game was probably against the Chiefs last year, where we didn't even complete a pass, after the first quarter. And everybody in the stadium knew we were going to run the ball. And Zamir White simply dominated that game and put that game away in the fourth quarter. So I'm excited to see how he looks out there. But yeah, I'm also excited to see Brock Bowers. It's his rookie debut. That was a great value pick at 13. Not a lot of people expected it. A lot of people thought we were going to go quarterback, but all the quarterbacks were off the board. I'm excited to see how Bowers looks. Like you said, that matchup, that Derwin James versus Bowers matchup will be fun. I don't think Perryman can stick him. He's more of a run stopping linebacker. So seeing Brock Bowers out there and all of our weapons with Gardner Minshew is going to be fun. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to be a run first team. That's the identity. That's at least what Antonio Pierce wants us to do, run the football, and establish that run game. So I want to see how year 3 Zamir White looks.
Yeah, and like you said, Zamir White's going to be a big X factor, as well as Brock Bowers in the passing game. But I think something that neither of you guys mentioned is the elephant in the room is Davante Adams. We got to get Davante Adams the ball if we want any chance of winning this game. And that's because if you look at the last 3 games, we'll put the stats on the screen right here. But Davante Adams has destroyed the Los Angeles, San Diego, whatever Chargers you want to call them. Davante Adams has cooked Asante Samuel Jr. in the last 3 games, at 2 in the opening game, his first game as a Raider. However, I think it's important to say that the defense is going to be what hopefully wins us this game. Because like you mentioned, Jim Harbaugh's offensive scheme is run first. We saw it at Michigan. We saw it with the 49ers and Frank Gore back in the mid-2000s, or I should say early 2010s. However, it will be key for the Raiders to stopping Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins if they want to win. Justin Herbert himself, like the offensive coordinator of the Chargers, I think said a few days ago that Justin Herbert is very mobile and can get out and run. I don't think the Raiders are worried about that at all. And I don't think they're worried about the receiving room the Chargers have either. I think their 1 is Joshua Palmer, and their 2 is Ladd McConkey, a rookie out of I don't know where. I don't know if he went to Michigan or what. However, that room, I mean, who's in that room? There's not a single player there. So stopping the run is going to be huge for the Raiders. And none other than Christian Wilkins comes up for me as an X factor on defense, the run stuffing defensive tackle from the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to add to about Wilkins is Herbert, the one issue he presents is that when Max Crosby rushes off the edge, he has the ability to step up in the pocket. I think he's the best quarterback in stepping up in the pocket. Like no one does better than Justin Herbert when it comes to that. And so the reason he's been able to do that against us is because we've not had interior pressure when we've played the Chargers. We have these stopgap defensive tackles the last few years, and that's allowed Herbert to play pretty freely from the pocket. And Christian Wilkins is a guy who changes that narrative because he is a stud at the defensive tackle position. And if he's rushing up the middle and you got Crosby and Kuntz who have presented challenges to guys like Rashawn Slater, we'll see about Joe Alt, but I'm not sold on him being a superstar right tackle as of now. But if those three players, Kuntz, Wilkins, and Crosby, can get pressure on Herbert, I think we could feast on the defensive side because Herbert's a guy, he can throw interceptions. He's not the most accurate quarterback downfield, and we've picked him off quite a bit in the past. So if our defensive line can tee off on a guy like Herbert, our secondary, Jack Jones, Merrick, Hobbs, can really feast and get some turnovers that are much needed.
And yeah, just adding on to both of you guys, football is won in the trenches. And our big three, our pass rushing trio with Wilkins, Crosby, and Kuntz, they're going to be very important in this game and every game coming into the season because, they're the heart of the defense. And when you look at, like Rashawn brought up, when you look at Jim Harbaugh-led teams, they're typically run-first teams. So it's going to be important to stop the run. It's going to be important to stop guys like Dobbins and Edwards. And, you look at the preseason, we struggled to stop the run in the preseason. And I know a lot of people say, hey, it's preseason, you want to take it with a grain of salt. But, our first team starters were out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see if we can stop the run. But then I'm also excited, like Jahan brought up, to see what Christian Wilkins is going to add to this defense. We've since I've been a Raider fan for the past 10 to 15 years, we haven't had an elite defensive tackle yet, and now we do. We have arguably a top 5 defensive tackle in Christian Wilkins. Not only is he an elite run stopper, but he's a very good pass rusher too. So I want to see the impact that he has on this defense, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see our pass rush get after Herbert. Crosby versus the rookie Joe Alt is going to be a fun matchup to see. I expect Crosby, to give him some welcome to the NFL moments. Crosby's going to give him some hell, but as long as we get pressure, we're going to make our secondary's life easier. I'm also excited to see Jacorian Bennett out there as well too. He looked good in the preseason. He had a strong camp. I'm big on Jacorian Bennett. I think he complements Jack Jones very well. But yeah, no, I'm excited, man. This defense has the potential to be a top 10 defense this year, and I expect them to do very good versus the Chargers. I expect this to be a low-scoring game, so I expect the defense to get a lot of pressure, and the key to this game is stopping the run.
Yeah, stopping the run is going to be the key. Like Jahan mentioned, we've intercepted Herbert a ton in the past. We haven't always beaten them, especially in LA. We've beaten them in Vegas handily the last few years. But when it comes down to going to SoFi, I feel like it never matters how many fans we have in the stadium. I mean, the stadium is the Black Hole, Allegiant Stadium West. But I feel like that's also a bad name to call it because when we host at Allegiant Stadium, it's all opposing teams' fans. And I saw it when last year, week 13 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it was all Chiefs fans in the building. It was honestly disgusting to see. And obviously, Raider Neb is from Oakland, so we'll get into that a little bit now. We have a few more minutes here. So let me ask you, Raider Neb, how do you feel about this whole thing? Going from your hometown in Oakland, California, where you were born and raised, to going to Las Vegas, to seeing the away teams just fill the stadium and fill the stands.
Bro, it breaks my heart, to be honest, because Oakland's losing all of his sports teams. Oakland is a sports city. It's a football city. We love our Raiders out there. I had the privilege to go to some games with my dad growing up, and there's opposing fans were scared to come to Oakland. They were scared to come to the Coliseum. We had one of the best home fields in football, home field advantages in football. Of course, the Coliseum, wasn't in the best shape. It's a very old stadium. I wish we could have got it a new stadium done in Oakland, but the city has its problems, and Davis was looking for something better. Allegiant Stadium's a beautiful stadium, but at the end of the day, a lot of people, a lot of tourists are in Vegas. The Raiders don't have a super strong fan base out there, and a lot of opposing teams, you see fill up the stadium seats in Vegas just because, they want to travel, go on vacation, watch their teams play. So, you see in Oakland and LA, those are the true cities that really represent the Raiders. So it just hurts seeing the Chiefs fans fill up our stadium, or even I remember the first year the Raiders moved to Vegas in 2021, the Bears fans, when the Bears came to town, they took over our stadium. It's disgusting, honestly. I hate to see that, but it's always good, going to LA, just getting that home field. So I'm excited to see a bunch of Raider fans, out in LA and cheering on the Raiders.
Yeah, Yeah. So as we wrap up here, let's go through our game predictions and our X factors for the game. One X factor for the game and our game predictions. So Jahan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I got the Raiders winning a close game. We've not won in SoFi yet with fans there, but I think this is the year that changes. And we mentioned this in a previous video. Our roster is better when you stack it up position by position with the Chargers. We have a better roster. I think that's what gets it done for us. So I think we're going to win 24-21. And I think my X factor for the game is going to be Antonio Pierce. Pierce is a guy who he made a lot of conservative coaching decisions last year when it came to fourth down decisions or clock management. But when you look at this game in particular, Jim Harbaugh was supposed to be hired as the Raiders head coach, and they asked Antonio Pierce, you guys were up for the same job. So is there you have a chip on your shoulder for this game? And his response, he said, I'm the one standing here. So I think he was a little angered by the talks of Jim Harbaugh this offseason. So I think, you should watch out for going for it on fourth down, a fake punt, maybe some aggressive decision making by Antonio Pierce. I think that's something to watch. I think that could ultimately push us over the top.
Yes, sir. I also have the Raiders winning a close one too, very close to your score. I actually have them winning 23-20. I expect it to be a defensive game, but at the end of the day, I think Carlson knocks home a field goal on that final drive, and we end up winning the game. My X factor for the game is the offensive line. The strength of the Chargers defense is their pass rush led by Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. So I'm excited to see how Colton looks. I know he was out, with injury during training camp, but he's ready to go. And then Darren Munford, he's the starting right tackle on this team. So it's going to be exciting to see him face off against Joey Bosa, see what he got in store. But the offensive line is the key to the game, not only, protecting Gardner Minshew, but also, opening up holes in the run game for Zamir White.
Yeah, and to wrap things up, I think the X factor for the game is going to be the quarterback play. I think Gardner Minshew is going to be the deciding factor on if we win or lose this game. If we can't score 20 points, we're not going to win. It's simple as that. If we can score 20 points or more, we'll win the game. We saw it all last year. This team on offense is not very different from the team they were last year. However, it's new play calling. It's a new offensive coordinator. It's a new leadership. So I got the Raiders winning this game as well, obviously. I got them winning 24-16 in a low-scoring game. I think we'll win by 8 points. I think Chargers will have the ball in the last drive trying to go down the field, but I think it'll end like it always does with a Herbert interception by Jack Jones or Nate Hobbs. So Raider Nation, we appreciate you guys and all the subscribes, all the likes, all the comments. We try to respond to every single one of them. And our Instagram page, we'll put the link up here. Go follow that. We really appreciate all the followers we've been getting, all the love over there. And we want to thank Raider Nev for coming on today. We'll be seeing him more throughout this season for sure. But Raider Nev, thank you so much for coming on today. And Raider Nation, we'll catch you guys later.